Hello, you are listening to the OmniTalk Retail Fast Five, brought to you in partnership with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Firework, Trigo, Sezzle, and Silk.
Headline number four, Ann. I know this is one of your faves in the list today. Heinen's is flat out done. They're done with Instacart, Ann. According to Grocery Dive, Heinen's announced last Wednesday that it will no longer be available through Instacart's marketplace starting February 22nd. The chain, which runs 23 stores in Ohio and Chicago, but instead, according to Grocery Dive, roll out a new mobile app and an upgraded shopping platform, and that all e-commerce orders will be fulfilled by Heinen's own associates. And do you think this is yet another sign of trouble afoot at Instacart?
Yeah, I was talking to Catherine Douglas Moran from Grocery Dive yesterday because this is getting so much attention that she's actually writing another follow-up article on this. Yeah, because
good intel.
She believes that there's meat on the bone here. And I do too.
Yeah,
I think that Instacart ahead of this IPO is just scratching and clawing and trying to find out where their unique value proposition is. And it's becoming harder and harder for them to do that the further we get out from the pandemic. And you know what it reminded me, Chris, of was, remember when we interviewed Wesley Rhodes from Kroger at NRF?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So one thing that he said multiple times when we were interviewing him is that the best way to win in a low margin business like grocery is to create this secret sauce of tech partners, both internal things that you're building and other things that you're buying that allow you to get one step ahead of your competitors. And I think that especially in this last year, as we're coming out of the pandemic, I think more grocers are like, look, what should we be building internally? We've had 2 years of ultimate stress tests from pandemic type purchasing and online grocery. And I think that some retailers like Heinen's in this case are starting to realize maybe we can do this better on our own. Maybe we need a third party delivery solution or type person or somebody to help do one part of it, but we can pick on our own. We can do, these things that Instacart is offering in store, I just don't think hold the value for the retailers when they're developing their secret sauce against competitors. So my guess is that Instacart was a nice Band-Aid for Heinen's during the pandemic, but now it's all about how do we build this for the long term? And I don't know that I see that happening with Instacart.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that is great intel too, because it emboldens me even more to talk about this. I think, you hear the expression where there's smoke, there's fire. I would say there's already a campfire in place, in my opinion, on Instacart here. Yeah. Because, it seems like every week Instacart is losing another customer or some element of its relationship with its customer base, whether it be direct placement on its website, like this example here, or providing white label services in store, like we talked about with Tops Market a few weeks ago. All of which, I was stepping back. I was trying to think, okay, what does this remind me of? Because it goes back to our theme of what is old is new again. And I can remember my days at Target. This was 2008, 2009. I was running frozen food, and we ran all of our grocery distribution through a third-party wholesale relationship with Super Value at the time. And we at Target went away from that and started building out our own network of what we called FDCs, which was a food distribution network. And the reason we did that was because we wanted more control over the ultimate end consumer experience, particularly around freshness and quality. And that's what Heinen's is talking about in this story that Catherine wrote. And so, and you also want to do that as affordably as you can for yourself as well. And you want to do it, to your point, in a differentiating way. So I draw that same analogy here when I look at what's happening in 2023 across the grocery landscape, especially with respect to last mile delivery and in-store picking and packing. Because we've talked about, those are essentially white label services at this point. Anyone can do them, but you want to do them in the right way. You want to control them. And so for that reason, I think this is just going to get worse before it gets better. And that's why I'm still pinning my hopes on my prediction here last holiday when I said, I'm not even sure Instagram IPOs. I think the CEO is going to be out the door. And I think at best, we might be looking at an acquisition here for Instacart. And it's probably going to be a fairly cheap acquisition on the dollar when you get down to it.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. Last word I would say is if this isn't working for the regionals like Heinen's, like Tops that you mentioned, who is going to keep continuing to leverage Instacart's platform? I thought like, you know, when I was talking to Catherine yesterday, I thought that, you know, I wouldn't expect these giant enterprise retailers to be leveraging Instacart. I thought there was maybe a case for these regionals, but again, I think you're right. Like it's getting to the point now where if they're not your client, who is?
Yeah, and you know what my other telling point would be? Like we had Tops, and then they had the smart card, or what was it? Not the smart card announcement, but the announcement that we covered a few weeks ago with the seller market. Well, the scan and go shopping, right? They had that. If we see another silly announcement like that next week, that's the tell. Like that's the poker tell of all time. That's like the Rounders, like John Malkovich tell eating the Oreos, in my opinion. And all right, let's keep rolling.
No idea what you're talking about.
I know.
That was a deep dive movie reference.